Most people think they know exactly how much they eat every day. They are almost always completely wrong about it. Today, we tested that assumption on 18 real people across 4 completely different body types using the most accurate metabolism test available. None of them knew what the test was measuring. None of them knew their calorie data was being collected and analyzed for weeks. And the results were so shocking that some of them could barely speak when the numbers were finally revealed to them live. Before the reveals, let us understand the 4 body types, because knowing yours changes everything about how you should train and eat daily. The first body type is the skinny physique. It is naturally lean with a smaller frame, low muscle mass, and less body fullness. Aaron represents this type perfectly. He's just 13% body fat, but his total muscle mass sits below the average for his size. When asked if he has trouble sitting still, Aaron immediately said yes without any hesitation at all, confirming the behavioral pattern common to this type. Maria also falls here, weighing just 97 pounds with a primary goal of building strength, especially in her arms and upper body. But their low muscle mass created real problems during strength testing, and for Maria, the results revealed something genuinely concerning about her long-term health. Her muscle score came in below the threshold that indicates risk for sarcopenia, which is the progressive muscle loss that accelerates dramatically as people age. Her bone density also came in lower than 72% of others her age, placing her at meaningfully higher risk for fractures later in life. This matters because while any body type can be healthy, certain types carry specific health risks that most people in that category never think about. The second body type is skinny fat. In clothes, it looks similar to the skinny type, but underneath, the physique is softer with more fat. The excess fat tends to concentrate around the belly and love handles, and what everyone in this group shares is below average muscle mass. David noticed his body changing when he moved to California. He described it as a sudden flip where weight just started accumulating without explanation. His experience reflects something most people never realize. The average person quietly gains 1 to 2 pounds every year without any dramatic dietary change. When you are not lifting weights or not lifting with enough intensity, most of that annual weight gain gets stored directly as fat rather than muscle. The fat-free mass index is the measurement used to reveal how much functional muscle someone actually carries relative to their height and total body weight.
You take your total lean mass and divide it by your height squared. Average for men is around 18 and for women just below 16. 2 of the skinny fat participants happen to be identical twins named Paula and Paula, making their comparison one of the most revealing moments of the entire experiment. Paula pointed to depression and a period of heavy takeout eating, including fried sushi multiple times per week, as the clear cause of her weight gain. But despite having an identical genetic blueprint, the twins had ended up with measurably different body compositions, purely from behavioral and emotional differences in their recent lives. The third body type is bulky. Unlike skinny fat, this type carries above average muscle, which showed up immediately when strength testing began during the experiment. Sahil jumped to the top of the leaderboard instantly, and his record was broken almost immediately by Eric, whose fat-free mass index approached the natural ceiling. But while both Sahil and Eric carry impressive amounts of muscle, they also carry slightly above average body fat, both sitting in the high 20s% range. That extra fat obscures their muscle definition and keeps them looking bigger rather than defined, despite years of serious, consistent training already completed. Melody falls into this category from the female side, having trained consistently for 5 years and recently focusing her attention on beginning to lose the excess fat. Her fat-free mass index came back above average, placing her at the advanced gym user level, which genuinely surprised her in the most positive way. The fourth and final body type is high body fat, which is categorized as over 30% for men and over 40% for women. AJ came in at 51% body fat and 323 pounds. His honesty encouraged throughout the entire process was genuinely remarkable. Michelle fell into this category as well, and both of them shared something that completely surprised everyone in the room when the DEXA results came back. Despite not working out regularly, both AJ and Michelle had more muscle mass than most of the other participants, including many who trained consistently for years. The simple explanation is that carrying extra body weight forces the body to build muscle just to move around and function throughout daily life. The downside is that the extra load makes staying active significantly harder, and both described real physical consequences, including plantar fasciitis, that affected their ability to work. Now, here is where the experiment gets genuinely interesting, because none of what the participants shared about their habits matched what the data actually revealed. 1 month before filming, 9 of the participants completed what is called the doubly labeled water test without knowing what the test was actually measuring or tracking. This test has been used to study the metabolisms of astronauts in space and remote tribesmen in Tanzania, making it one of the most validated tools in nutritional science. Participants drink water containing a special isotope, and by analyzing how that isotope changed as it passed through their system, researchers could calculate resting metabolism, activity burn, and actual calorie intake. None of the participants knew their calorie data had been collected. They had no idea the experiment was revealing exactly what they had been eating for 2 weeks. Before revealing the results, participants were asked to arrange themselves in order from who they thought was eating the most to least calories daily. The discussion was fascinating. They reasoned about body size, activity level, profession, and general lifestyle before settling on what seemed like a logical order. Then the actual numbers came out, and almost every assumption they had made about themselves and each other turned out to be significantly wrong in revealing ways. Aaron, the skinniest person in the room, was eating over 4,200 calories every single day without tracking or thinking about it at all. He was consuming over 1,000 more calories daily than AJ, who weighed more than twice as much, and yet Aaron remained completely lean throughout the entire period. The instinctive explanation is a fast metabolism, but the data told a more nuanced and actually more actionable story than that simple explanation would suggest. Aaron's resting metabolism was actually quite low, sitting around 1,500 calories per day, which is completely normal and expected given his relatively small body size. What made Aaron different was that he was burning almost 3,000 additional calories every single day through constant activity, movement, and genuinely never sitting still for long. Between retail work generating 10 to 12,000 daily steps, pickleball, longboarding, and general active behavior, Aaron was running an enormous calorie burn that easily maintained his lean physique. Maria, on the other hand, stayed lean through a completely different mechanism. Her actual intake came in at 2,800 calories, which was very close to her estimate. She was one of the only participants who demonstrated genuine awareness of how much she was eating, reflecting her habit of cooking at home and avoiding snacks consistently. Both Aaron and Maria were eating and burning nearly identical total calories across the week, which is why neither of them gained weight despite different activity approaches. The skinny fat group told a very different story. Paola was eating just 1,400 calories but burning significantly more, which meant she was actually in a meaningful deficit. Paula's numbers were similar, and both twins had recently become more conscious about their eating, which explained why their intake was lower than their burning rate. But the issue for both twins was that without consistent, hard strength training, any weight they lost would come mostly from muscle rather than fat. That would leave them lighter on the scale but still carrying a higher percentage of body fat, which is the exact definition of the skinny fat pattern continuing. David's results were the most immediately alarming in the skinny fat group. He had predicted eating around 2,000 calories per day, feeling confident in that estimate. His actual intake was 3,300 calories per day, meaning he was consuming enough extra calories to gain approximately 1 extra pound of fat every single week. Hidden camera footage from a snack table placed in the waiting room revealed David gravitating toward chips and sweet snacks without any apparent awareness of the behavior. When confronted with the footage, he acknowledged having a sweet tooth and loving snacks, while genuinely having no idea how significantly those habits were affecting his total daily intake. The bulky group produced some of the most metabolically impressive numbers of the entire experiment, primarily because of how much muscle they were carrying relative to their size. One participant was burning over 3,300 calories per day, which is comparable to professional athletes despite not being one at any competitive level currently. The reason comes down to two compounding factors. First, all bulky participants were living genuinely active lives with consistent strength training and significant daily step counts already established. Second, muscle tissue is metabolically active and burns approximately 3 times more energy than fat tissue does just to maintain itself every single day at rest. This means someone with 20 to 30 extra pounds of muscle burns hundreds more calories daily than someone the same weight carrying fat instead of muscle. This metabolic advantage explained why Melody could lose fat eating 2,500 calories per day, while Paolo would need to stay at just 1,500 to see the same rate of loss. But the bulky group was not immune to the calorie awareness problem. Multiple participants significantly underestimated their intake, often by 500 to 1,000 calories per day. Living downtown, near restaurants, eating out 2 to 3 times per week, and general underestimation of restaurant portion sizes were the most common explanations for the gap. One participant also had visceral fat levels in the moderate to high-risk category, despite looking relatively fit from the outside, which was a genuinely sobering finding.
Visceral fat is the dangerous internal fat that wraps around organs and spits out inflammatory chemicals linked to disease, cardiovascular problems, and significantly shortened life expectancy over time. The good news is that visceral fat responds faster to dietary changes than subcutaneous fat, making it the first type to drop when someone dials in their nutrition properly. The high body fat group had the most surprising metabolic data of anyone. Both AJ and Michelle were burning calories at rates comparable to professional athletes. Michelle was burning 3,379 calories per day, which made participants with traditionally faster assumed metabolisms visibly and genuinely jealous when the number was announced. AJ was eating approximately 3,900 calories per day and was 800 calories above what he had estimated, showing the same awareness gap seen across multiple body types. Two genetic factors emerged as potentially contributing to their weight gain beyond just calorie awareness and lifestyle habits that could be modified through conscious behavioral change. The first was non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which refers to the spontaneous movement and fidgeting that some bodies do naturally throughout the day without any conscious intention. Bailey was constantly moving even when sitting still, while Michelle's body remained almost completely motionless when resting, which can represent hundreds of calories of difference daily. The second factor was a stronger dopamine response to food that some brains produce, which drives continued eating and reduces the sensation of fullness after consuming a meal. Research has shown this response can be measured and actually used to predict which children are most likely to become overweight later in their adult life. One participant also shared that recovering from past addiction had led to food becoming a replacement coping mechanism, which added meaningful psychological complexity to their relationship with eating. Now here is what the science actually recommends for each body type based on everything the experiment revealed about how each one works differently. For the skinny body type, the primary focus must be weight gain because muscle cannot be built in a body that is afraid of gaining any mass. 3 full-body strength training sessions per week built around 6 fundamental movement patterns is sufficient to produce solid and consistent muscle-building results over time. Eating a fist-sized portion of protein at every meal while allowing total calories to rise will ensure most of the weight gained is functional muscle rather than fat.
2 to 4 pounds of fat loss per week is achievable without muscle loss, particularly in the early stages when the body has abundant fat available to fuel the deficit. Simple dietary swaps, replacing calorie-dense snacks with protein alternatives and reducing cooking oils made immediate and surprisingly significant differences to total daily calorie intake for these participants. But more than any other group, what drives lasting change for this body type is having a reason that runs deeper than appearance alone as the primary motivation. Wanting to have children, wanting to be healthy enough to raise them well, recovering from a health scare that revealed how close the body had come to serious crisis. These were the motivations that made the difference between people who sustain change and people who return to previous patterns after the initial motivation fades away naturally. The most important takeaway from this entire experiment is not which body type you are or which metabolism number you might receive from any test. It is that almost everyone significantly underestimates how much they eat, and this single blind spot explains more about body composition than genetics ever realistically could. Fixing that one awareness gap through honest tracking for even a few weeks produces insights that no supplement protocol or training program can replicate or replace.
Your body type is not your destiny. It is your current starting point. And every starting point in this experiment came with a clear and genuinely achievable path forward. For the skinny fat body type, the best opportunity is body recomposition, which means losing fat and building muscle simultaneously without either a large surplus or large deficit required. 3 conditions make this work: hard resistance training that actually challenges the muscles consistently, a small calorie deficit of around 200 to 300 calories below maintenance daily, and a high protein intake calculated by multiplying your body weight in pounds by 0.8 to get your minimum daily gram target for muscle preservation. The twins and others like them who are losing weight without hard strength training are making a costly mistake that keeps them in the skinny fat category indefinitely. For the bulky body type, the training is already doing its job, and the solution is almost entirely nutritional rather than exercise-related at this stage. Proper food tracking for a meaningful period is the single habit that most clearly separates people who stay bulky from those who successfully reveal the muscle underneath the fat.